Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, a popular beach attraction reopens in time for the holiday weekend.
I caught a queenfish. I just got lucky today, the first day of reopening on Ocean Beach Pier.
See the repairs made to the Ocean Beach Pier months after it was hit by a winter storm. Disaster relief delay. Congress was close to a deal, but now money for wildfire, hurricane, and flooding victims is on hold. Opposition to a police use of force bill is softening. Why law enforcement say they've reached a compromise on a San Diego lawmaker's plan.
This play to me is a date night that turns into a thriller. It's a millennial rom-com that's also a thrill ride.
And we'll give you a preview of the latest production by the La Jolla Playhouse. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. It's Friday, May 24th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The Ocean Beach Pier reopened today. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman was there as people were led onto the pier for the first time since January.
Come on in, guys, let's go!
Ocean Beach finally has its pier back.
I mean, this is such an important part of San Diego. Not only Ocean Beach, but the entire community, and to get it open for Memorial Day, the unofficial start of summer, that was the promise we made to the community.
In January, high surf damaged the pier, and city crews have been working to get it open ahead of an expected busy Memorial Day weekend.
I know a lot of the restaurants and businesses were really looking forward to today.
Thank you so much.
We redid all the floors, repainted the walls, cleaned up all the sloppy tables.
Johnny Fisher's family owns the Walking on Water Cafe, located literally on the Ocean Beach Pier.
The gates are closed, there's no business, so.
Over the last few months, his family and their 10 employees have been out of work.
It was kind of just, we didn't know how long it was going to be, and we're just happy to be open now. It's been a long time, but we're just happy to be open.
It's business as usual back out here on the Ocean Beach Pier. Families are out walking around enjoying the sun, and of course, anglers are keeping it real.
I caught a queenfish. I just got lucky today, the first day of reopening on Ocean Beach Pier. Right in the bucket.
There were a number of anglers eager to get back out on the water.
Oh, I'm so happy. Actually, it's exciting. I am the only one catching. I caught 2 already so far. I have not seen anybody catching anything.
Repairs to the pier came in at just over $300,000. City officials say they're evaluating the pier, which opened first in 1966, to figure out if it needs any long-term fixes.
It's safe and open for the summer, but this pier's been here for 50 years, and so we're really going to take a look at it to say, what do we need to do to keep it going for another 50?
A report detailing construction and cost estimates will be completed later this year. The city says more than 500,000 people visit the pier each year, and at nearly 2,000 feet long, it's the longest concrete pier on the West Coast. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
More sunshine is expected at local beaches tomorrow, but there's also a chance of rain this weekend. We'll have your Memorial Day forecast later in the show. An update to Fiesta Island will likely include an off-leash dog park and walking trails. A city council committee has approved the plan. As a result, the proposal to build a boat launching ramp will not move forward. It would have required a road extension through some of Fiesta Island's open space. The dog park plan still needs approval by the full city council. State Senator Toni Atkins is taking criticism from activists for not saving a bill aimed at addressing the housing shortage. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says she's not accepting the blame.
Senate Bill 50 would require cities and counties to allow denser and taller housing near public transit stops and in wealthy communities where only single-family homes are allowed. The bill was put on hold last week by a senator from suburban L.A. Supporters say more housing construction is key to bringing down rents and making homes more affordable. They've been urging Atkins to use her position as Senate President pro tem to bring the bill up for a vote in the full Senate. But she's resisted those calls and earlier this week wrote an op-ed saying the bill had issues.
This is a complex bill. It's not simple. I would have supported moving it along to continue to work on it, but there were obviously people in the Senate who felt like there was a lot more to be done. Why not bring it up and let it be voted on? You know, the Appropriations Committee chair decided that was not what he would do in his purview and his jurisdiction.
SB 50 is now a 2-year bill, meaning it could come up for discussion again in 2020. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Disaster relief on hold. Today, a single member of the House objected to a fast-track vote to approve an aid package. $19 billion would go to states rebuilding from wildfires, floods, and hurricanes. It was approved by the Senate and has the support of President Trump, but a Republican congressman from Texas blocked the vote partially because it does not include money for border security. Congress can try another vote on the bill next week. President Trump says he's considering pardons for several troops accused of war crimes. One of those cases is being tried in San Diego. Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher is accused of shooting unarmed civilians and killing a prisoner while in Iraq.
We're looking at a lot of different pardons for a lot of different people. Some of these soldiers are people that have fought hard, long. You know, we teach them how to be great fighters. And then when they fight, sometimes they get really treated very unfairly. So we're going to take a look at it. I haven't done anything yet. I haven't made any decisions. There's 2 or 3 of them right now. It's a little bit controversial. It's very possible that I'll let the trials go on and I'll make my decision after the trial.
Gallagher's trial was put on hold this week. His lawyer wants the case dismissed. They claim prosecutors improperly tracked their emails. A controversial police use of force bill authored by San Diego Assemblywoman Shirley Weber is advancing. A vote will be held next week. KPBS health reporter Susan Murphy says law enforcement has dropped its opposition.
Civil rights advocates and California law enforcement groups have reached an agreement on new rules for when police can use deadly force. Under Assembly Bill 392, killing someone is justified only when there is imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury. Currently, officers can use lethal force if their actions are considered reasonable to protect themselves or the public. Law enforcement groups removed their opposition to the bill when some language was amended. Ronald Lawrence, president of California Police Chiefs Association, says he's pleased with the measure. He says it will impose the nation's highest standard of police use of force.
This remains in place an officer's ability to retain their right to self-defense when they're being attacked or to protect other people if they're under immediate threat, and we believe that's what California needed.
The bill also makes clear that officers must use other tactics, such as de-escalation, before using deadly force. Assemblymember Shirley Weber says the bill will save lives of community members and officers. She released a statement saying, "With so many unnecessary deaths, I think everyone agrees that we need to change how deadly force is used in California. We can now move a policy forward that will save lives and change the culture of policing in California." The bill leaves it up to the court to decide whether deadly force is justified. Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
Before deadly force can be used, police are trained to de-escalate a situation. But there are challenges when it comes to people with autism. AP reporter Robert Bumstead shows us a new method that uses virtual reality.
Sir, how you doing? What's going on? It begins in a parking lot. A store manager called to report a man who shoplifted a toy and is acting strangely. We got a call from the store owner. As officers approach the man who's clearly in distress, they're presented with a choice: escalate the situation or regroup. It's part of a new training simulation developed by Axon, maker of the Taser brand stun gun. It teaches police how to identify and interact with people who have autism or mental health issues.
And so for us, this was a call to action to, hey, rather than just training police how to use a Taser, maybe we should try to train them how to avoid using it.
The company announced a partnership with the Chicago Police Department to test the training. Officers are taught to stay calm, avoid physical contact, and turn off lights and sirens that could overstimulate autistic people who can be easily overwhelmed. Experts say it could prevent officers from mistakenly using dangerous or even deadly force.
Yeah, I think there is a knowledge gap, and the good news is that more and more law enforcement agencies are recognizing that.
David Kieron is the director of adult services at Autism Speaks, a nonprofit autism advocacy organization. They've also worked with police departments on autism training.
The ability to tell the difference between someone who's acting in an unusual way that may be due to their autism versus someone who could be a risk to you can be a really fine line. And when you're trying to make that judgment very quickly, that's where we see mistakes made.
What you doing?
It's a mistake police in Graham, Texas made in June 2018 when they responded to a call about a man throwing rocks at his neighbor's fence.
I'm saying give me your eyes. Give you your eyes?
Then 19-year-old Michael Moore, who has autism, had a hard time communicating with officers. Thinking he may have been under the influence, officers gave him a sobriety test.
Your head facing forward. Look at me.
And when he failed...
Put your hands behind your back real quick. I'm sorry! Put your hands behind your back. I'm sorry.
Moore was shot with a stun gun and tackled.
I'm gonna hit you again!
He had to be treated at the hospital for cuts and an eye injury.
Had they taken, 5 minutes to come knock on my door to verify that, yes, he did live here and I was his mom, they could have avoided all that.
And in the virtual reality simulation, that's exactly what police are taught to do.
I want to make sure that we don't see these people as threats, because in the vast majority of cases, they're a threat to no one, and we need to just better understand them.
Axon says it plans to roll out the training across the country and will include it with the purchase of its taser devices. Robert Bumstead, Associated Press.
It's my son.
Trial here is delayed for the Navy SEAL accused of committing war crimes while on deployment. Many California seniors struggle financially, the issues and proposed solutions. And the state moves one step closer to restricting short-term rentals in San Diego. Join us for the KPBS Roundtable tonight at 8:30.
As we head into Memorial Day weekend, some families are planning a trip to SeaWorld. The local attraction once again is seeing big crowds after reporting a turnaround in attendance after a double-digit decline in 2017. We're talking about that and other headline-making news for the Friday Business Report. And joining us this week is George Belch. He's the Senior Associate Dean of the College of Business at SDSU. Welcome.
Thank you.
So how was SeaWorld able to make this big turnaround?
Well, first of all, let's recognize SeaWorld had a lot of challenges. The Blackfish documentary came out in 2013, created a lot of negative publicity for them. The controversy lingered for a long time. In many ways, the San Diego SeaWorld location was hurt more than anyone. I think perhaps we're more environmentally and socially conscious in California, but they really had to address that, and they have. They've made changes. They've gotten rid of the live orca shows. They're not breeding them in captivity anymore. They focused a lot on the great things that SeaWorld does in terms of animal rescue and some of the marine programs that they have. I think they addressed the controversy head on. They had a marketing campaign, SeaWorld Cares, where they really focused on a lot of things. But that's been going on for years. The more recent things, I think they've added new attractions. You now have the Tumbler roller coaster. You have the Sesame Street Party Parade. And anytime you can add new attractions to a theme park like you have at SeaWorld, just as Disney's now adding Star Wars and other things, that's going to give people another reason to come.
So moving on, thanks to a unanimous City Council vote, the campus at Horton Plaza project is set to move forward, transforming Horton Plaza Mall into a tech hub. In fact, just this week, I got a chance to speak to a project advisor about the significance of the vote and more about the plans.
The council got behind the effort to not let this building just rot to the ground. We've got a whole lot to live. We've been building tens of thousands of units in downtown. We've got a gas lamp, a Little Italy, a waterfront. We've got a lot of play, but we really haven't been creating any jobs in this sector for decades.
So George, of course the team behind this project thinks it's great for San Diego, but does it have the potential to revitalize downtown San Diego?
The new project, I think, clearly does. But let's back up a little bit. Horton Plaza started, in many ways, a revitalization. Now, let's give it its respect and the due that it deserves. It came in 1985. It was very unique. It was innovative. It helped give people a reason to come downtown. That said, the revitalizations kept going with the Gaslamp Corridor. It kept going with the Petco Park, the revitalization of the East Village, the new hotels, the restaurants. So it has been going forward. However, I don't think it was going to keep going forward for Horton Plaza. Unfortunately, the retail landscape has changed dramatically. Malls across the country are struggling. Retail is struggling. They're now competing against Amazon, which online sales are pushing close to 20% of overall sales now in the U.S. This year, retailers will close over 6,000 stores. They will only open about 2,500. That negative net is working against them. In many cases, the stores you would like to have at Horton Plaza aren't going to be there unless they can show tremendous sales per square foot. They've lost major anchor tenants like Nordstrom's. So I just don't think Horton Plaza was going to be able to recover. So deciding what to do with that space, this new tech center, I think is a very smart move.
And finally, some scary news for millennials. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that as millennials enter middle age, they're in worse financial shape than the generations before, including baby boomers and Gen Xers. So what are the factors causing this?
I'm glad you started out by saying some scary news, because I couldn't agree more. Yeah. This is scary. I've read the Wall Street Journal article and other articles about millennials, and we have a problem with income disparity in this country. We know it, but I think we often think about it at the extremes. But we have a group kind of in the middle that's suffering as well. This is a generation, an age cohort that's the most educated of all. They have higher levels of education than baby boomers or the Gen Xers who preceded them. But the fact is, they came into the job market at a difficult time. A lot of them entered the job market around 2008, 2009 when the Great Recession was hitting, and it took a while. We have to remember, during that Great Recession, unemployment was 14%. It just went below 4%. We have to reflect on how bad things were. They came out of school, a lot of them with a lot of debt that they're trying to pay down. So they're up against the wall in terms of trying to make it economically. And in many cases, even the jobs that they're getting aren't necessarily paying enough to allow them to keep up.
Hate to end on that sour note, but that wraps up this week's Friday Business Report, and thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, after 3 years of trying to reach a Brexit deal, Britain's Prime Minister Theresa May announces she's stepping down. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
All right, time for a look at that forecast in and around Southern Cali, and really nice weather for the most part. A little cooler than average for San Diego, but not too bad in the sense that we're pretty dry. But areas to the north still seeing a lot of active weather across parts of California. But closer to home, San Diego, La Jolla looks great. Mount Laguna, we're dry. Futurecast does bring in some low clouds and also the potential fog that we will be witnessing early in the morning around 6 a.m. So we start out with some low clouds, and then by the afternoon, conditions do improve. So for tonight, we'll see those increased clouds, especially those low-level clouds, right around 58. So cool in and around your hometown, Oceanside around 51, and San Diego, like I said, into the upper 50s, not too bad. And look at these temperatures. Ramona coming into the upper 40s, some cool stuff. Mount Laguna into the middle 40s, so certainly cooler into the higher elevations. Now into your Saturday, we will see relatively dry conditions, inland spots and around the deserts, but we stay with this cooler flow if you're right along the coast. So we're going to see that cooler flow all brought to you by this dip in the jet stream, and that is where we're going to see those cool and somewhat unsettled conditions further north. Now in and around town, not too bad. We'll see the sunshine pretty bright around San Diego, 67 degrees, Mount Laguna into the upper 50s, and you can see some of those warmer spots. Yes, Oceanside at 67. We'll see plentiful sunshine after some morning clouds. So again, bigger national perspective for Memorial Day. Unsettled out west with that dip in the jet stream, but the rise in the jet will bring in that heat. So really heating up in and around, say, the southeast. So maybe flipping roles versus where the southwest should be. We should be experiencing that weather. So sunshine is bright along the coast. Some showers around Sunday, possible Monday. Looks good though. Inland locations, a little bit better. Still the chance for some showers on Sunday. Monday looks nice. Desert spots, upper 80s, warming up Saturday. Sunday, though, cooler into the middle 70s, overnight lows in the 50s. And then right around the mountainous regions, we do see those 40s with a shower possible. Clouds and sun Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, warming up a little bit with some sunshine. For KPBS, I'm meteorologist Chris Nallen reporting.
It's the 30th anniversary of the National Memorial Day Concert. Join me, Joe Mantegna, and my co-host, Mary McCormick, with Sam Elliott, Patti LaBelle, Alison Krauss, Dennis Haysbert, and General Colin Powell. It's a time to come together to honor our troops, our veterans, and our military families.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
The National Memorial Day Concert.
Sunday at 8 on KPBS.
Rom-com meets apocalyptic thriller. That's how a new play at the La Jolla Playhouse is being described. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando went to a rehearsal of Put Your House in Order.
Put Your House in Order is not an easy play to talk about.
Ew, gross, God. Sorry.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say on camera.
Lillian Brown is directing Ike Holter's new play, and there are certain things that need to be kept secret until the curtain goes up.
I am playing Roland, and Roland is a teacher. He is a young... Is it a spoiler if I say that he's a... I think it is. I'm trying not to give spoilers away.
That's actor Besa Dabu. He's currently in rehearsals for the play.
This play to me is a date night that turns into a thriller. It's a millennial rom-com that's also a thrill ride.
Director Brown is willing to expand on that.
I would say it's a fast-paced modern horror play with a rom-com chewy center.
Actress Shannon Metesky plays Caroline.
I say that it's an apocalypse play about the end of the world, and only one of us survives.
And I think the conceit of this play is, what if your date was essentially, potentially the last date you ever went on, and you didn't know it at the outset.
Placing a first date against the backdrop of a possible apocalypse can make the everyday seem epic.
It raises the stakes. Everything gets heightened and everything gets elevated, and it sort of makes people cut through the crap.
Put Your House in Order examines how people connect under difficult and potentially life-threatening circumstances. And since it's a play about millennials, there's a dependence on cell phones.
Can you put the phone down?
Yeah.
And social media.
Social media is a small character in this play. I don't know, I think about it in real life. I live in Los Angeles, and when there's a shaking, I go to Twitter first to see if there was an earthquake and where it is. I don't go to the news. I go to Twitter because Twitter's going to have the most up-to-date, most accurate information without bias.
And it is another character in this play. And especially with so many of us leaning on that, I think the author is also drawing to attention of what happens when you can't rely on that anymore. Then what do you do? And I hope that that enlightens for some folks in our generation to say, hey, what is your disaster relief plan, and what is life beyond your phone, or what is connection beyond the digital space?
The connection that occurs within a theater space is very different from what can happen with other media.
Yeah, and on film or television, there's something about the camera being 2 inches away from the person's face, which we don't get in theater. But what we do get in theater is the audience is in the same room as loud noises. They're in the same room as the screams.
Or the sirens.
What was that?
I don't know.
I'm sorry,
Sirens,
what actually was that? I don't even know what that actually
I don't know. I've never heard that around here before in my life, okay? Dang,
What you can't see in this rehearsal is how the set adds to the production. Audiences will actually get to see the house that needs to be put in order.
I love this house. It's really, it was really lovely to be able to dream something this big on this scale. I mean, that thing goes almost all the way up to the grid, and it's just vast. So it's going to really feel like a real setting, and I think that makes it even creepier.
I can't wait for people to see it because I think they're going to walk in having no idea or maybe an inkling of what they assume, and then they're going to find a whole different world. I can't wait to feel people's hairs stand on the back of their necks because I know it's going to happen.
I just hope people come away from this play going, oh my God, holy crap! Oh my God, I did not expect that to happen. Oh my God. And they're thinking about it and talking about it for at least the next week. That's the reaction that we think we're gonna get. And that's why we're closely guarding some of the secrets of the play, because if we don't have the element of surprise, it's just not as fun. Who are you talking to?
No spoilers, but that's one of the surprises of Put Your House in Order, that it can find humor and horror side by side with the apocalypse just on the horizon. And maybe that's a feeling audiences today will identify with. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Put Your House in Order opens on June 2nd at the La Jolla Playhouse. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. And we leave you tonight with music from Live at the Belly Up. It airs tonight at 11 right here on KPBS. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.
Swing back like a catapult that see and its fun is well born. He is a help and a shield, a soldier for the love burning. God of young cup, the blessed stronghold, break down the door. Can't hold back no more, wait all night long. In the early morning, like night watchmen wait for the dawn. Exaltation, my God of salvation. Feeling the rhythm, filled with jubilation. The Lord's name will be proclaimed. Yo. Exaltation, my God of salvation, feeling the rain, filled with jubilation. Place my trust in your kindness, it's a must open in the God of deliverance since way back when before time began. Existing eternally, everlasting, rejoice in the name of his majesty.